Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, October 12th, and we are trying to get one more victory at least done, and then I'll probably leave this till later. In all honesty, since we seem to be getting these so often now, like 2 a week, I may end up doing a lot of these monster hunts off screen. They're just kind of not really relevant. So I'm gonna play casual and try to get a victory, and if I just get a quick victory right now, I'm fine with that. We've got a ton of news and a ton of games to look at. I would argue it's probably more games than news at this point because we've covered a lot of it. So we've got a game called Timberman Versus on Steam. This is one of those cell phone games where you basically are just pressing a button to chop, and it looks like it might be a little bit more varied than some other versions of these cell phone games. But yeah, you're not only gonna go get so far with something like this. This is mostly positive, 76%. Or 75% of 20 user reviews. I can't really read the numbers, they're too small. 10% off for $1.79. This is a game that might very well make it to my wish list. Yeah, when you look at the developer, they've got positive reviews on several of their other games. This is a game that I'm gonna have to think about for a second. Do I really want what is a simplistic cell phone game on my console? Like, is that something worth buying when you really know you're only going to spend 5 minutes on it? No, I think I'm going to have to be a little bit more picky. Well, this probably is a fine game for what it's offering, and it's being pretty obvious and honest about what it's offering. In the end, it's a 5-minute entertainment experience for $1.50. I mean, I would never come back to this. I'd never play Timberman Versus. So while it looks good for what it is, it's just not offering enough. At a certain level of games, particularly games on Steam that cost money, or I guess it doesn't even have anything too much to do with being on Steam, it has to do with just costing money. They have to be of a certain level of quality, where if you told me you could play Timberman Chop on like a McDonald's website or a Disney website for free, I would believe you. Let's see. Next game we have on Steam is called Horror Maze Dungeon Edition, which is full of dark screenshot syndrome, and this is clearly just a asset flip style game. 1 achievement, so you get 100% achievement completions, 20% off for $1.59, and certainly trying to sell itself on being spooky for Halloween. Some of these games that are Halloween games come out too late too. Like, honestly, if you were gonna have people buy a Halloween game, you'd want it to go on sale, I think, at least October 1st, if not September 15th or earlier. You get it out there early and get some name recognition. Maybe you do it the last week of September, so you can build a week of recognition and have people do it. It really is a ridiculous thought that people actually, in any large amount of numbers, are going to Steam in the month of October and saying, hey, I just want to play a horror game. It doesn't matter what horror game, I'm just in the mood for a horror game. I mean, that doesn't really work for movies either. People don't go, I don't think people go and watch just random horror movies in the theaters. They watch the big ticket, highly publicized, highly pushed name recognition horror movies. Which I guess this year would be a Friday the 13th movie. Which I think is coming out, yeah. Let's see. This.
Justice is mine.
Next game we have on Steam is Horror Maze Sci-Fi Edition. By the way, this developer, Drunken Apes, it's the exact same price, exact same amount of achievements, exact same logo for the achievements. This developer, Drunken Apes, is a troll developer. If you didn't recognize that immediately. I don't know why it takes Valve so long to catch these troll developers and stop them from putting games on Steam. I guess perhaps it's because some troll developers are worse than others and do very offensive things, where others just put out low quality games, and maybe Valve thinks that they can just drain them of their money. In the end, the idea that Valve is keeping some troll developers, troll publishers on Valve so they get $100 every time they publish a game is a bad thought, because almost certainly those $100 is coming out of somebody else's pocket. Whether it ever gets reported or not, I could almost certainly guarantee you that troll developers are getting credit card numbers one way or another in fashions that they shouldn't be. I mean, it could be as simple as they're using their parents' credit cards, and yeah, I think you don't want to do business with people that you know are unethical, and I think for video game publishing and development, it is unethical to put out troll games and joke games, and so they should kick them off. TechRaptor has a review for Unforeseen Incidences. Incidents? Yeah, that's it. It's a point and click game. They give it 8.5 great summary. Unforeseen Incidents is a smart, well-written adventure game that keeps you on the hook from start to finish. Pros: fun, stylized art, compelling story, sharp writing. Cons: no hint button, doesn't fully explore the interesting character points. So that game is on Steam. It's rated very positive right now, 91% of 83 user reviews. So it's probably already on my wish list, but I'll just double check when I see a review. That's a bit of a reminder, although in all actuality, there's still a good argument to not read reviews at all and just 100% get information from Steam reviews and people who are just, one would assume, more one with the general populace. Okay.
Justice is mine.
Job's done.
One more damage. Of course, he only has to really do one more damage, too, so if I had done a weapon and attacked, I probably would have won. GameIndustry.biz has an article, and I don't know how much I really want to cover this article, but I'll point out it's called Discord's Problem. Which Nazi group were you reporting again? A year after promising to take action against all forms of hate, game-focused communication platforms, follow-through is lacking. Let's see.
How long can this go on? How long
Let's see.
can this go on?
What their problem here is that I imagine the Their problem seems to be with people who have 1488 in their Discord server, which I guess is Nazi code, but then the problem with assuming something like that is that inherently everything will get turned into Nazi code, and saying hello will somehow become Nazi code for something. I could see, and they're saying that there are thousands of servers with 1488 in their name. I could see people picking random numbers and accidentally landing on 1488. Let's see. If you were born on the 14th month, any month, 14th day of the month of any month, and in 1988, I could see you putting your birthday in there and getting 1488 pretty easily. And it seems like all of this really isn't inherently I don't think there's really any more evidence that all thousands let's see they're saying that anybody who has 1488 in their name is self-identifying as both white supremacist and Nazi in their choice of name, and I that's a bit of a stretch. That is a bit of a stretch. I still did not get a victory there. That was annoying. That was annoying. I was really close to a victory. This sucks. Hearthstone has gotten back to being a really grindy pain in the butt. Yeah, I'm gonna just close this article at this point because there's nothing to say here, and it all just kind of boils down to in people's attempt to deplatform more and more people, not really caring if there's some innocent bystanders in the process. They will deplatform everybody, and I'm sure eventually they will literally try to deplatform everybody. All you're doing is, if some of those Discord groups, which I'm sure some of them are actually white supremacist or neo-Nazi groups, not real Nazi groups. You can't be a real Nazi, not unless you're a time traveler, or very, very old. I suppose you could.
The light protects me.
By shutting down their Discord servers, it really is just going to put them more on edge and feel like there's more of an actual conspiracy against them, because there is actual conspiracy against them, and it does not help bring that conversation into the sunshine where it could be cleaned up and people could have realistic, logical conversations with these people and say, here's why your line of thinking is a little bit flawed. Maybe you should consider it this way. You're literally, what the SJWs that are attacking Discord here are saying is that we literally don't want Discord. We don't want discussion at all. So there's kind of nothing you can say there. I'm all for free speech inherently. If Discord, if people want to make a extremist Discord group and talk to each other, it's probably a good thing, and probably also it makes it easier for the FBI to monitor and investigate those groups in case they are plotting any violent action. So yeah, it's probably a real good thing to just leave them alone and let them be in their own place. It's like they really aren't spilling out into other Discord servers, because it doesn't even really work that way on Discord. Like I have a Discord and I know I don't really understand how it works, but random people from other people's Discords aren't spilling out onto my Discord. And if I really cared and ran and monitored my Discord server, I could easily filter out words and ban people, and would if necessary. So this is kind of just like a non-story. It's just the constant mainstream video game media finding problems to complain about instead of, you know what, just review games. Like, your job is real simple if you're a video game reviewer. Like, you review games and you barely talk about actual news, because there barely is any actual news in the video game industry. That's all you have to do. Just play the games and review the games. But so many of the mainstream video game journalists hate video games, don't really want to play video games. All they want to do is complain, and they're really just failed journalists who would have preferred to work in any other industry. That's why you see so many video game sites expand out into these lifestyle sites that are just about, hey, we're going to talk about geek culture and nerdom, we're not going to talk about video games specifically, or just video games. Moving on, GameIndustry.biz has an article. Bethesda opens a Russian office headed by Simon Chirikov, that's Chirikov. The new office will oversee sales and marketing for Russia and CIS, which I don't know what CIS would be. The Commonwealth of Independent States. Bethesda, ZeniMax's parent company, is seemingly all over the place. So it's not inherently amazingly surprising that they would make a Russian office. It's kind of weird in the political climate, I think, to make a Russian office in general, because it feels like you're probably not going to get a lot of work or beneficial work done, and instead you're going to end up paying a lot of money in bribes to oligarchs. That's what it seems like from an outsider's perspective. And the poor Russian worker just a few weeks ago had their pension pushed back well past their lifespan, so that people who have been working in Russia for a pension will probably never see a penny for it, and paying into a pension. I guess inherently it probably is a good idea to try to give Russians more jobs and employment, and help them pull themselves out of the general amount of poverty that is in Russia. But the amount of corruption in their country is probably seconded and only by the United States, as far as the 1% versus the 99%. But then that really gets more into a political thought and Bethesda's opening the Russian office. We'll see what they really do. Doesn't seem like they're actually developing any games or anything. It seems like they're just selling the games they already have. It feels a lot like how everybody who wants to sell a game in China had to partner with a Chinese company before China decided they were just not going to let video games be approved at all, which is where they are right now. Moving on, Gamer Searcher has an article. Ubisoft has a free-to-play mobile Assassin's Creed game on the way. So, Ubisoft is full of BS. You kind of have to admit that. Like, there was a couple of years ago talk that the Assassin's Creed wasn't going to be this annualized thing. They're going to take their time. They're going to do it right. They're going to, with Origins, they're going to really make a good game and not put out some of the poor, low-effort Assassin's Creed games that had come out before Origins. Clearly, they had no intention on really following through that, because now we've had Origins, which was a really big game, and then we've got Odyssey, that's a really big game, and now they're coming out with a free-to-play mobile game. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of Switch exclusive or VR exclusive. Like, it's just going to keep on coming. They cannot stop themselves from milking the teat of the Assassin's Creed cow. That's an interesting phrase I chose to use there. Let's go over to the European account on Hearthstone, because if there's anything that I would want to skip, it's probably the monster hunts. They're pretty simplistic. More and more, I feel like you probably did the appropriate response as a gamer to hearing that your favorite series is getting a mobile game, a free-to-play game, a game that's undoubtedly going to be laden with microtransactions, knowing Ubisoft. I think the right response is probably Rage. 2 victories in a game, Mage class cards, Paladin class cards. Getting at least 2 of those done should be pretty easy. Let's see, Freeze Mage at rank 22. Hopefully we'll move up. The game itself is due out November 21st, but honestly I don't really even care. Care to know anything more about an Assassin's Creed mobile game. Gamer Sutra has an article. There is a report that Blizzard is considering bringing crossplay to Diablo 3. That would be the Switch and the PC, I guess, and maybe Xbox and PS4. Like, let's see. I guess there's kind of a lot of different ways you could bring crossplay. Let's see. See, the update here says, after the Business Insider Australia quote made its rounds today, Blizzard rep told Gamer Sutra, while we'd love the idea of bringing our players together to cross platforms, we do not have any plans to implement cross-platform gameplay for Diablo at this time. Of course, they said Diablo here, not Diablo 3. So that's one way to lie to somebody. Yeah, I could see every platform having crossplay on Diablo 3 and that not being a real issue. Sorry. There's not a lot that's gonna change. Yeah. And since it's a co-op game and not a player versus player game, that's fine. Let's see. Is this game in... Okay, we have a game on Steam called Toho Fan of Destiny. Now, in first look, when you look at this looks like a Japanese anime thumbnail on a girl, but then when you look at the actual game, it's 3D animations that are top down and don't really have that much to show. and as I'm clicking through each screenshot, notice how you're just not really seeing anything. I scrolled down here, and just to make sure there was no nudity in here, this is a top-down twin stick shooter fighter game that is in simplified Chinese and Russian. So, you know, it's either a low effort Russian game or it's a low effort Chinese game trying to look like a Japanese anime.
One's out on me.
Unravel.
I found it first.
It's 30% off for $9.09, and I can pretty well guarantee you it would not be worth it. In fact, looking at the other games this developer has made, none of the others look similar at all. One's called Parkour or Man. There's one that's negatively reviewed called Skull Idol, and most of them are not reviewed, so yeah, troll game, or at least very low effort game. Do I have enough here to make progress? I made a little bit of a mistake when I was recording. It's not a big issue. Yesterday, my sound noise suppressor, because I made some small changes to how I record games that aren't Hearthstone, my noise suppressor wasn't on, so things like my computer fan, my ceiling fan, my air conditioning all make noise in my room, and theoretically I would hope nobody is hearing it. It's, for instance, blowing right now, and I doubt any of that is getting picked up. I have a pretty decent microphone that puts some directionality into where it picks up, so it tends not to really want to get noise that is right. So I need basically the 10th turn to play this. So I'm going for the standard Archmage Antonidas victory. If I can get to the 10th turn, play this and get this on in position. Change the cost of the minions in your deck to 1.
The end is coming!
Tech Raptor has an article. Diablo Reign of Terror merch was found on the Blizzard store, so there might be a new event or a new DLC, I guess is the idea, that might come out for Diablo, or maybe a full-on new game. Like if you told me Reign of Terror was going to be a remake of Diablo 1 and 2 merged together, or just Diablo 1 alone, wouldn't be super surprised. Okay. Let's do this. Play this.
I can't play that. What to do?
I'm gonna play this in the turn. That's all I'm gonna do. We've got a game on Steam called Mini Thief. It's 78% positive with 235 reviews. Seems like there's more people playing games these days, or more Volt manipulation going on, which is possible. This is what you would call something that is way too pixely. Looks a little bit like an RPG Maker game, but I guess it isn't. It's maybe using RPG Maker assets to not make an RPG, and instead is just like this really dark run around places, steal things. play as a thief. You can see in the screenshots you have dark screenshot syndrome all over the place. I think if you're gonna make a thief game, you need to have some vision, see in the dark type vision function. It's 25% off for $2.99. I don't think it's worth that. It's in a bundle, which that's a red flag also. Yeah, it doesn't look that interesting as far as a game.
I wonder.
Alright. So, can I do this?
Let the pain speak to
An
me.
incredible discovery. Time runs out on me. Someday I'll be
I'm just gonna hope
Job done.
that this works. I'm literally just hoping here that he decides not to kill my sorcerer's apprentice.
Awaken my children.
Okay. If I play this
someday I'll be just like you.
and then play this, I can't play this. I've got to play this. So let's do this.
Someday I'll be just like you.
And then one of these. Here we go. See, I don't think I have the fireball cheap enough yet for this to make sense.
Medicine.
But next turn I can play this. Nope. They screwed me good. That one card was all it takes to ruin that strategy. I hate playing as a mage. I hate playing that strategy as a mage. It's time to go back to HS replay, I think. I guess I'll welcome a new
You require my assistance.
Someday I'll be just like you.
Reality.
I'll welcome a new expansion so that I can redo my what is it called? Hearth Sim? No, I don't even remember what the website is called that helps you and tells you what to make better decks. Let's see. We've got a game on Steam called Space Pilgrim Academy Year 3. I assume there's a Space Pilgrim Academy Year 1 and 2. This clearly is an RPG Maker game. I am starting to wonder if maybe there is one person at Valve in charge of looking at games that look like RPG Makers and improving them. And then there's one person in charge of looking at like visual novels and improving them. And that's why we get these bundles of games that are often different. This one, it's in a bundle, it's $1.79, 10% off. No duh, it's an RPG Maker game, and immediately, if I can call it an RPG Maker game, that means I'm at a point where I am definitely not going to buy it. Alright, let's do this.
My hand is too full.
GameIndustry.biz has an article called "The Xbox Tanker is Turning." The subtitle is, "It takes years for a console platform to win back the hearts and minds, but Xbox is finally getting there. Now it needs to find and promote its unique difference." Basically, this is an interview talking about how Xbox One really messed up in their advertisement and their pitch of an always online console with like always online DRM and not really supporting the realities of people, and they generally just trying to push everybody to download every game. Something now that seems completely ridiculous now that net neutrality is dead or on its last dying breath. So yeah, when the Xbox 2 comes out, I think one can only hope Microsoft does not make the same mistake or a similar mistake, and the people who they have worked hard to win back will be willing to let's see. I'm gonna lose clearly, but at least I'm playing all the cards I have. But yeah, I hope that the Xbox 2 and Microsoft can keep the customer centric. That being said, just Windows updates, Windows 10's updates recently have been problematic, and clearly there's some poor a lack of communication going on, a lack of testing, a lack of caring about how the customer's experience is. Let's see, we'll do this, and we might as well just do this and then end the turn. See how this goes. Next game we have on Steam is called The War of the Worlds Andromeda. This is an interesting idea. It doesn't look very good, unfortunately. I don't know if this has to do with the actual play story War of the Worlds, or if this is just a name that somebody picked out of nowhere. Yeah, this looks mostly like an asset flip game. It's in English only. It's 30% off for $6.99. The Andromeda name in particular is the part that would tell me it probably doesn't have anything to do with the War of the Worlds story. And then you can see there's several people who are getting named as developers and publishers, and it seems like none of them have done anything else. I'm not a big fan of this small team concept where we're just going to have the developer be listed as the name of 5 people. I think if there's more than 2 people who should be labeled as developer, you at that point need to design a name and file the doing business as paperwork to make a small corporation of some sort, even if it's not really anything more than just paperwork. Yeah, that game does not look good. So, really not deserving the title of War of Worlds.
Time runs out on me.
Let's see, we can hit that. We can hit that. Smack that. And then end the turn. Yeah, but I've lost. Next we have a game on Steam called The Memory, which is a low effort run around an asset flip place horror game where you're supposed to be collecting memories, which I imagine are just going to be small trinkets. You can see every little bit of this feels out of place and just copy and pasted together. It's an English and Korean game. Early access, 40% for $3.59, and you can see for the level of quality of visual graphics you're seeing there, that is way too expensive. First time developer while you're at it. Well, that played nearly all the mage cards I needed to play. It just didn't get me the victory I wanted, so we'll just stick with mage and play one more game, and we should be good. GameIndustry.biz has a article, Warchild UK partners with Bandai Namco on 11/11 Memories Retold. Quote, together we can work together to end the suffering of children caught in the violence of war, says Elijah Wood, star of 11/11 Memories Retold. So Elijah Wood being the one of two celebrities who are getting into game development. I believe he was also the people behind that VR game that came out, Transference.
You asked for it.
I think that was a VR game that came out a few weeks ago and was moderately good, but not amazingly interesting either. Let's see. Need both of these cards to win. The partnership will see publisher Bandai Namco release a Warchild DLC for 11/11 Memories Retold when the game launches in November. Warchild UK is a charity that supports children and young people affected by war and works together towards a world in which no child's life is torn apart in military conflict. So, I suppose in the UK, children who are torn apart by military conflict is mostly like Syrian refugees and Middle Eastern refugees, maybe some African refugees. So, there's probably a little bit of more political controversy in that in the UK than you would immediately assume there would be if you are, say, like me, living in the United States. Yeah, I'm watching a trailer here. It really is just Elijah Wood talking to the screen and showing a bunch of file footage of children affected by war from a long time ago. They say they hope to raise £200,000. I guess there's really nothing more to say here. It's just going to be another charity thing. And I guess that gets it right back to my standard response on something like that, where I personally feel like video game companies should just not donate to charities. They should not pretend like they have souls and that they care about people. If they want to do anything and affect anything, they should make their own games cheaper or pay their own employees better instead of donating to charities to get these write-offs, which is what I imagine a lot of this is. And I bet Elijah Wood is 100% sincere. Like, I doubt there's any sincerity in it. I just think he probably is getting in bed with corporate interests that he doesn't really understand. And generally speaking, I think actors like Elijah Wood should just stick to being actors. If they want to put their money behind and be a silent producer and fund a game, that's one thing, but by putting their face in front of things, this is going to end badly, because eventually Elijah Wood is going to put his face in front of a terrible game and cause a terrible game to get purchased by a lot of people who shouldn't have purchased it, which is what we've seen with YouTubers. Certainly Jim Sterling and We Happy Few is kind of an example of that, where these bad games get endorsements and use those endorsements to sell their bad games that didn't deserve those sales and wouldn't have gotten that attention or those sales otherwise. Let's see if this game is in English. Well, we've got a game on Steam called Unconquered Castle, which is a visual novel. Unfortunately, it's only in Chinese, so to be fair, some of these only in Chinese visual novels look a lot better than others. There are a few Chinese companies out there that actually try to do quality work. $2, 20% off for $3.99 if you can read simplified Chinese. This one looks like a good one, so at least they are putting some effort into it. Right, now if I play this, then I'll have 4 left to do this. And in return,
You win this time.
as a victory, and that should have done all of our mage class cards, so we can now move forward. Just need one more victory, and now to play a bunch of paladin class cards. So I hope my paladin class, odd paladin here, works. We've got a game on Steam called GeoGebra Mixed Reality. It's a VR game in which you can make geometric tessellations, I guess, and other shapes. That's a 4-dimensional shape, I imagine, and this is something. Frankly, I doubt this helps anybody's understanding very much. It probably adds a lot of work and confusion. It is probably also a great example of why having VR schools right now, with the level of programming and skill that's put into the VR experiences, is probably not very good. It requires Windows mixed reality, virtual reality headsets. It's free, so I guess the price is right, but yeah, this is something they clearly would have liked to sell to schools, but no, it's not gonna happen. It is definitely not gonna happen. I'm gonna trade out the 2 that aren't Paladin class cards. Alright, we already talked about that article. We have a game on Steam called G2 Fighter, which is tagged with sexual content. Oops, shouldn't be showing this one. I don't see any sexual content on here. It looks like it's just a top-down twin-stick shooter that's only in simplified Chinese. And they want $12.79 with 20% off. You can kind of tell it's a low-effort game. And not an extremely low-effort game, to be honest. There's room in it to be a lot worse.
I hope you like my invention.
I'm looking at, there's quite a lot of screenshots on this game and quite a lot of menus, but I'm not seeing anything that says shows anything or indicates any sexual content. I think that was tagged in mistake. A lot of those tags are placed by just people. They're not the developer putting those tags in there. But usually they're pretty accurate too. Next we have a game called Play Top Frag, which really isn't a game but a training tool for first-person shooters, which you don't need a training tool for first-person shooters at all. Even if this does look like it is actually potentially something that might help, it's not true. Like, if you want to get better at Counter-Strike Go, you have to play Counter-Strike Go. You don't play a training tool. You don't do this. Esports people are not doing this, to my knowledge. This is early access for $9.99 with no discount. And really all it is a Unity asset flip that's just selling itself as a training tool.
For justice. Protonic burst.
See, Gematsu has
Welcome.
Daedalus, The Awakening of Golden Jazz teaser trailer, which I'd like to watch that trailer because I think this is a visual novel, but its animated characters look a lot different. They look a lot older than your standard anime people. And it seems like it's going to be very focused around jazz and music. Unfortunately, being a Japanese
Let me think.
trailer, it doesn't really show you anything anyways. Daedalus Awakening of Golden Jazz is coming out for PS4, Switch, and PC December 13th in Japan. I don't think there's been any indication that it's coming to the West.
Follow the rules. For justice.
This
Protonic burst.
in that turn. Apparently, Daedalus Awakening of Golden Jazz is an upcoming prequel to Jake Hunter Detective Stories series, which also I don't think has come to the West, so take that for what it is. Gematsu has another article, Peach Beach Senran Kagura trailer. So it is a Senran Kagura pinball game. The Senran Kagura series is a anime girl ninjas doing a variety of things.
I wonder.
So like Peach Beach Splash was them running around with squirt guns. This is probably not coming to the West looking at it now. If it does, it'll be kind of surprising to me. It's a Switch game where you're playing pinball, and then there are anime girls in outfits, like crazy cat outfits and fetish outfits, and they are these giant girls that are on the field of the pinball tables, and you're bouncing the pinballs on them, hitting them in the breasts, hitting them in the thighs. Yeah, Senran Kagura really knows how to make something lewd. Any game, if it's a Senran Kagura game, will be a lewd version of it, or a perverted version of it. Which, if that's what you're looking for, that's what they deliver, and they certainly don't pretend like they're delivering anything else.
For justice.
Honestly, I don't know if I could ever play this game on if it came out to PC, which I'm not 100% sure it is. It seems like it's only coming out for Switch on December 13th in Japan. If it came out to PC, I don't think I could ever play it on YouTube anyways.
Let me think.
But if I could, I think it might be
Move quickly.
something to spotlight, but I doubt I could play it all the way through to unlock all the unlockables that I'm sure it has in different outfits. Just because it would probably be too much. It would be too much too often. The thing about me doing Honey Pop is that game really just, I lucked out on how little actual content needed to be censored. There was frankly more content in The Witcher 3 that needed to be censored and was censored a lot worse than what happened in Honey Pop. Whereas Senran Kagura Peach Ball would just constantly need blurring. Although some of the other games I think would be alright in the Senran Kagura series, depending on it. GameIndustry.biz has an article. John Heineke, that's Heinecke, joined Square Enix as the Chief Marketing Officer. the former Overwatch VP of Global Publishing, to oversee marketing across the Americas and Europe. This might be a very good change for Square Enix, because Square Enix has been bad about really caring about their products or actually trying to promote games and sell them or have games developed. So theoretically, hopefully, this might turn into the next Deus Ex game getting developed and Square Enix not interfering and throwing in multiplayer and microtransactions. This might be a step in that direction, or we can at least hope. It may not mean much of anything at all, though.
Welcome to my web.
Next game we have on Steam is called Mariner Accident, which is incredibly dark. Like, I can't see a thing there. Just dark screenshot syndrome and everything. Like, and I know sometimes I play games on YouTube and the games are way too dark, so if it looks dark to me in the screenshots, it's gonna be impossible to see. It's $4, $3.99 with no discount. You can't even see what it is, so why in the world would I want to buy it? That's just bad advertising.
Follow the rules.
Let's see.
Protocol 7. For justice. Job done. Reporting for duty.
Next we have a game called The Last Train, which, let's see, seems to be kind of a strategy game, like a sort of like I want to call it Wagons East, but that's not the name of that game. Seems like you're riding a train through a zombie or post-apocalyptic world. It's an RPG. You're collecting different items, and it seems like the items will be useful. Seems like you have 4 people in the health and some other meter. It looks slightly interesting. Seems like you can craft things also.
Let me think.
15% off for $12.79 with a lot of DLC that is 91 cents. So the only thing that would stop this game from showing up on my wish list and getting added to my wish list is if there was some other game that they've published that's really bad. Doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's the first game they did. So I'll put this on my wish list and we'll see if there's any user reviews that come about.
Access denied. Follow the rules. Reporting for duty.
GameIndustry.biz has an article, educational game startup Kahoot valued at $300 million. Valuation follows a $15.4 million fundraising. Company's worth has tripled in 7 months. Kahoot is kind of this idea of having kids pull out their cell phones in class and interact that way. I think inherently that will probably fail, but the previous version of this was instances where you would have a very specific and very expensive proprietary device that would ask kids to answer questions, and then a projector would sum up all the kids' answers and say, well, 70% of the people answered the question right, and 30% answered it wrong. Kahoot, in a lot of ways, is like the Jackbox Party Pack technology, probably without the need to go to a server, because that could be problematic against rules and laws for schools. The Kahoot has had previous investors, including Disney, Microsoft, and Northzone, but that really doesn't mean anything. This is kind of a true inside baseball article too, as far as just finances. It really won't mean too much for the current generation, but maybe the next generation will have a slightly different response. I imagine that schools are constantly having trouble with kids pulling out cell phones, and I don't know what you can really do to stop that. You're gonna have to, I don't know what you do there. You integrate the technology or ban the technology. That's pretty much your two options, and I'm sure some schools will ban it and some schools will try to integrate it. Gamer Sutra has an article. The first Magic Leap game from Peter Jackson's AR Studio is positively, quote, buggy. I think that's a pun because the game is full of actual bugs. This is pretty much just a promotion of the Magic Leap game, though, and an advertisement more than a actual news story. So I'll just close that immediately.
The light protects me.
Reporting for duty.
GameIndustry.biz has an article, The Swords of Ditto and the Race Against Time. 1 bit beyond Jonathan Biddle on the value of listening to your audience and making fundamental changes after launch. I'm not 100% sure that the Swords of Ditto ever did really fix its issues. Like, I'd be interested to see what the reviews say right now. So let's just open this up on Steam. Like, no, in the last 30 days there have been 10 user reviews for the Swords of Ditto, and it is mostly negative, 30% positive. Where the mixed overall reviews of 1,006 reviews, it has mixed reviews of, I think that's about 50%. So yeah, whatever the Swords of Ditto creator thinks they've done, they haven't done it. Clearly, overall still mixed and mostly negative in the last 30 days. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about that, really. It's like, you clearly have not learned your lesson, and that was kind of my understanding of the case too, is that the way the Swords of Ditto played and was this weird RPG element where you are going to die and leave your sword for the next RPG character, and you lose like a ton of progress. Was just not appreciated, when really all people wanted was something like the original NES Legend of Zelda game, and it looked so much like that that's what people were expecting. So I guess you could go through this article and read these quotes on GameIndustry.biz, but I think the bigger news and the way to report this quickly and easily is to say 1 bit beyond Jonathan Biddle still doesn't understand what people wanted. For better or worse, people wanted something he did not offer. And he is still, to this day, getting raked over the coals in the reviews.
Converting stored energy.
Like, because I guarantee you, those 10 people in the last 30 days that reviewed it negatively didn't come back out of spite and review a game they hadn't played. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article, Snap, Crackle, Pops, Crunch, and Self-Mutilation, and Swery's new puzzler, The Missing. I imagine this is mostly just a advertisement and trailer. We kind of knew The Missing is this weird horror game with time rewind mechanics, and so kind of you are going to have to basically kill yourself or hurt yourself in many different scenarios, or you're just going to accidentally kill yourself in many scenarios, or kill the character that you're controlling. I'm not even sure. And so yeah, this is a slightly different trailer, and it's showing a lot more death sequences, whereas the first trailer I saw of The Missing really only had the female protagonist getting sucked into a fan. Now it's gone into a full-on surrealist, horrific world that's got a lot of different things going on. So yeah, I mean, anything Swery does, the industry and me in particular are going to keep an eye on that and be interested in it at least a little bit. When we are just slightly over an hour, and we need to play 14 more Paladin cards, otherwise we're doing relatively good. Worst case scenario, I think by the time the next hour is done, worst case scenario, we'll have 2 daily quests left to do. One on the Asian account and one on the America's account, which is just dungeon hunts. So this is a good point to end this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.